My name's John Blank. I'm the EBI 17 middleweight combat jiu-jitsu champion. I represent 10th Planet Bethlehem and Finishers MMA. Back in September, I competed in EBI 17. I had 4 matches there. I won them all by submission, luckily, and I claimed the title. First match against Tamden was, a little bit intimidating. He did fight for the UFC for a number of years. I watched him on TV back home before I ever did jiu-jitsu, so it was a really cool experience to go against him. My second match against Gabriel Checo, I watched his first match where he was really aggressive with the strikes against Bobby Emmons, and once again, a little bit intimidating going against the guy, but I felt pretty confident and got the job done. Yeah, the third match against Kyle Chambers in the semis, you never like going against another 10th Planet guy, a little bit of a brotherhood thing, but there's also a little bit of the East Coast versus West Coast there, so it's fun, but it was a good match. Yeah, the finals match of EBI 17 against Matt Secor, another guy that I've watched for years and really respected and looked up to. That match against him, it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. I hit a little bit of a whizzer throw and got him down and snatched a guillotine up, and I caught him.
That's really middleweight gold in his grasp, and he's done!
Wow.
John Thor Blank is the EBI Combat Jiu-Jitsu Middleweight King.
I felt pretty good for the event. I came in shape. I always try to come in the best shape I can, so I try not to let cardio be an issue. Yeah, since winning EBI 17, coming home with the belt, coming home with the check, showing that an average Joe can do well in this sport, compete at the high level, I think it's inspired a lot of the guys back home to really go for it and train harder and see how far they can push themselves. With the money that I won at EBI 17, we're looking to roll that into starting a second school in our area, so be on the lookout for a second Finishers in the Lehigh Valley. One day I'd like to make jiu-jitsu my career because it's the thing that gives me some of the most happiness in my life, and if I can do it, anyone can do it. You got to put in the hard work, you got to put in the long hours, and sometimes it comes at sacrifices in personal life and things like that, but you got to follow your dream. To compete at this level, I don't get a whole lot of sleep, I don't get a whole lot of personal time. I get up early every morning so that I can get to the gym and do my exercises before I go to work. I come home, I cook something for myself, and then it's off to the gym. Time I get out of there, it's time to go to bed. You make the sacrifices in your personal life. Well, we left Thursday morning for Los Angeles to compete in the ADCC West Coast Trials. Showed up at the school to meet up with everybody around 4 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. I pull up and Holland's there, and he immediately starts talking about there's an open spot in the upcoming absolute bracket for CJJ and how there's talks about getting me in there, and it was a lot to think about at 4 in the morning, so we flew out here. We went to HQ for the noon class. Oh shit, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
They said you wear medium. Like, how the fuck does he wear medium?
I like it tight. Eddie immediately came up to me and started talking about it, and I made some phone calls to work, to the girlfriend, and pulled some strings, and I'm in now. getting the call to be on, a card with, these guys who I've looked up to since before I started the sport, let's be real. I mean, it's kind of a dream come true.
So being a part of the beginnings of EBI, because we were there with little Grace at EBI 3, and then now being in the, JM being one of the first ones, we're like in the beginning of new sports, and like I'm just thankful for Eddie Bravo, and like it's really cool to be a part of the start of it all. It's crazy, you know what I mean? We look back and years from now be like, yo, remember when combat jiu-jitsu started? Who knows where it's gonna go? Because we had no idea when we started. There wasn't an avenue for all this stuff. There wasn't an opportunity for it.
It's a blessing because it's like it's work for us. Like we get to come out here and I mean, Thor's about to fight a UFC champ and Abu Dhabi champ.
Justice, man. Pleasure to meet you.
As far as the weight differences between me and the other guys, it doesn't really bother me. We got some big guys at my gym that I train with who are very high level, and just another body. Josh Barnett versus Yuri match. You got Josh Barnett, who was former UFC heavyweight champion. You got Yuri, who's accomplished at the highest level in ADCC and just about every organization there is. I mean, it's hard to call. See what happens. As far as the guys, saying that they're going to go out there to wail on him like Barnett's been saying, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll get knocked out by a palm strike by Josh Barnett. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, Russell's a great competitor. He's another East Coast guy, the way I understand. He's a big, strong wrestler. It's going to be fun to see what happens. The same principles apply for normal jiu-jitsu. You can't get overexcited. You got to get your position before you do something. There's a time and a place for everything. You're not always going to do a certain move, and that goes with striking as well. It's not always wise to throw a strike even though you can. Maybe you could hit them, but it's going to put you out of position, or it could be a waste of energy or ineffective against the guy. So it's really, just picking your spots and knowing what's necessary at the time. I think people get over-aggressive with the strikes when they're thinking about it because, we do jiu-jitsu every day, but you don't get the chance to, smack somebody or palm heel them in the face every day. And, it's kind of, let's be real, it's kind of fun to do that. It's kind of cool to do that. But I think people get overexcited with it and kind of blow too much energy. So yeah, leg locks absolutely work in combat jiu-jitsu. People have proved that time and time again. I mean, I heel hooked a guy at EBI 17. I mean, even in MMA, you see guys pulling off heel hooks now. Is it the most common thing? Is it always the smartest option? No, but they absolutely do work. There's a time and place for everything. My thoughts on where combat jiu-jitsu lands between jiu-jitsu and MMA, I like to think of it as just a more realistic jiu-jitsu, because let's be real, anytime you have to use jiu-jitsu in a real life situation, there's no rule saying that guy can't, put his hands on you too, can't hit you. So it just makes it a little bit more realistic in my opinion. I just love grappling. I don't care if it's combat jiu-jitsu, I don't care if it's sub only. Maybe one day I'll get into MMA if I have the time, but for right now, I'm doing this. So this weekend, we're doing ADCC trials. We're gonna do our best here. We're gonna get through it.
Thank you. I saw him rip another dude's foot off, so I was like, I gotta take this.
What time? It's gotta be like midnight. All right, so it's like midnight right now, and we were here at 6 this morning after getting on a flight and all that shit. Hey, it's what it is, but we'll be back in 2 weeks for Thor at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Fight Night, right?
We're gonna go back to Bethlehem. We'll be back in the lab on Monday, and from then it's balls to the walls till combat jiu-jitsu. We're gonna be back out here in 2 weeks. It's gonna be a hell of a 2 weeks.